Welcome to Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. Hey, it's a bookend type of Sunday here in the big town, just like the bookend game yesterday with Shohei Ohtani hitting the home run. As part of the Dodgers Daily Network. Hey, it's a bookend type of Sunday
the other night. I think I was Friday night.
Town, just like the bookend game yesterday. Hey, very excited today.
Oklahoma State also got a big win against Mississippi State today, so it's been a day of Sunday full of fantastic baseball.
I love split squad days because it gets guys like Bubba Ali on the main field. Kyle Nevin, one of my favorite young hitters. He got to get a hit today, and it gets a lot of guys like that out there. So there was some great action. We're going to get to it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to throw as much video up there as we can. Hopefully we get a good crowd Sunday night in the big town here on Dodgers Dogs. But the first thing I wanted to talk about, let's throw them up on the board. Let's get some video going because it is getting very serious for this young man because he is having just a tremendous spring training. So let me scroll up there and get some video up for him. And let's absolutely get after it. And let's have a good time here. Hold on one second. Let me get to the videos. Let me back that up. Josue De Paula. So if you've noticed, with Josue De Paula, this is a young man that has very, very good. You know, before he was getting hits, he was like in the 200s. Of course, you can't just, I mentioned in this morning show, you just, unless there's an anomaly somewhere like way too many strikeouts or something like that, it's just really not worth your time to pay attention to statistics. But having said that, even before he was starting to gather a whole bunch of hits, you notice that Josue De Paula was still pretty good at bat times. And he was, let me go ahead and cut that off right there so you're not hearing the volume on. I think you were probably hearing the volume of the video play there, so over me. So let me turn that off and go from here. So, okay. So you don't really want to pay attention to the statistics all that much, but he was putting great at-bats together. Now he's getting hits, and not just getting hits, he's getting hits to the opposite field. And today he pulled the baseball. So Josue De Paula has been absolutely super impressive. And then this guy right here, I'm actually just going to go for it and see what happens. See if I'm just going to try it one at a time and see what happens and see if we get cut off. But Tyler Glasnow, I'll tell you what, he was absolutely awesome today. The high-riding fastball, but then the two breaking balls that he threw were just out of this world. So I thought Tyler Glasnow looked simply fantastic. And again, as you go through spring training, the Dodgers won both games today. That evened their record. I said it a couple of times now. As much as winning doesn't matter in spring training, it makes you feel a lot better winning than it does losing. So, no doubt. Dodger Blue 82, sorry about that. I did not turn on my desktop audio on the Josue De Paula video. Got that going now. So sometimes when I'm by myself, there's a lot of moving parts. You wouldn't believe when I try to play video. And I've got Instagram. Want to welcome the Instagram crowd on TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Every social media platform is fired up right now. A lot of moving parts. So sometimes there's something I don't catch there, like an echo or an extra bit of audio we shouldn't be playing. So Tyler Glasnow, you look for things that translate to regular season success. Teo Hernandez hit a home run today. That was fun. Freddie Freeman hit a home run today. That was fun. Shohei Ohtani, I'll tell you one thing about him. We know he hit the home run in his first at-bat against the Angels the other night, in the Saturday night, actually, last night. These nights start running together because one day goes into that. That's when you truly know you're playing baseball, is whenever you got to wake up the next morning and look at the matchbook to figure out. Of course, I'm dating myself there, but in the old days, what you do is you wouldn't even know what city you're in, right? Especially in the minor leagues. It's different now because you have the 6-game series and you're only in one location per week. But until they did that in 2020, after the 2020 season, I mean, you'd be traveling every 3 days, right? And like 12-hour bus rides, especially in AA, okay? So, there's an old joke that you would be in so many different cities and so many different days that you would have to wake up the next morning and you wouldn't even know where you're at. You'd have to look at the matchbook to see what city you're in, right? And so that's kind of how these days get. But having said that, Shohei Ohtani had the home run the other day. It was Saturday night. Yes, it was Saturday night, so I can remember that. And then he had the hit today. And what I wanted to say about his hit today was just simply that he just was so effortless that it just looks like if really the only thing, like Tony Gwynn, the conversation with Tony Gwynn, there were some people out there that I vehemently disagree with that think that Tony Gwynn should have had a lower batting average over his career and tried to hit for more power. That some people think that, I wouldn't say selfish is the right word, but that he limited himself. We talk about on this show sometimes big gulps. Like you want the player, the Dodgers like the players that have the treasure troves of tools. I talked about Chris Newell yesterday. Now, that doesn't mean they don't have issues that they have to fix or that the holes in their game, those kinds of things. But you want players that have big gulps full of tools. So a lot of people don't feel like that Tony Gwynn filled up his entire big gulp. They feel like, yes, he was Hall of Fame and maybe the greatest hitter ever to walk the planet, or one of them certainly, but still that there was more in the tank that he could have hit for more power. So I say that I'm doing like I like to do. I'm making a short story long to say that if Shohei Ohtani didn't want to hit 52 home runs a year, which we all want him to do, it just feels like watching his at-bat that today, that if all he wanted to do was dump 102-mile-an-hour line drives into center field, it feels like he could literally do that every single at-bat because he is so much better than the competition that he faces. Hey, another guy that I wanted to mention, okay, sit down, get some popcorn, because it is somebody that you have absolutely never in your life, unless you are an absolute prospect geek. And even if you are a prospect geek, I'm betting you still never heard of this guy. And you saw him on the main field today. That is Nicholas Cruz. Nicholas Cruz, congratulations for getting your first action on the main field. So who is Nicholas Cruz? 20-year-old out of Venezuela. We talk about Venezuela. The Dodgers love Venezuelan players because I said it yesterday. You'll never meet one you don't want to be friends with. They're just awesome people. They are always in a good mood. They're always smiling. They're always happy. They're very polite. They're very thankful. Hey, there's Kyle Nevin that we're going to talk about here in a minute. So Nicholas Cruz from Venezuela has a pretty big arm, okay? So the Dodgers signed him out of Venezuela in 2022. Still just 20 years old. He played in the DSL in 2022 and 2023. That's the Dominican Summer League. Then he finally made it to the United States last year. So he pitched in the complex team for Juan Apodaca, Kevin LaChance, and that whole group. That complex team won the championship. Then he got promoted up to high A. He skipped Rancho Cucamonga. All in all, went straight from the complex up to high A Great Lakes, where he threw 5 1/3 innings. And the fastball you're seeing right there is 96 miles an hour. And it has great carry. You even saw that today in his outing. Again, and if you want to watch the video from today, go to my X timeline or Facebook or Instagram, and you can play it from a separate device and just follow along with the timeline. So Nicholas Cruz threw a scoreless inning, fastball 96, great carry. What I mean when I say carry, what I mean is it has such good backspin that it doesn't decelerate. So to the hitter, it looks like it explodes that last 5 feet as it's coming in. You saw the slider today for Nicholas Cruz, and so that was a lot of fun to get to see him on the main field. No doubt about that. So last time that Tanner Scott threw, I mentioned that, hey, this dude has had a massive grind to get where he's at, right? Okay, he's not always been a great pitcher. In fact, it took him 5 or 6 years to become a really good pitcher. So when he struggled his first 2 times out, my caution was, this dude knows how to handle failure. Not that any outing in spring training is going to be viewed as a failure, but when I say failure, I mean just not a successful outing. I mean, even as process-based as I'm talking here, that, hey, you're working on this or you're working on that. Results don't matter because you're trying to get in the groove of this or that. Still, okay, these guys don't get to the major leagues. They don't become Tanner Scott without a competitive streak in them a mile wide. So I can speak all of that I want, but I guarantee you when Tanner Scott walks off the mound, even if it's in a meaningless spring training game, he's pissed as hell, okay? I mentioned that with Justin Robleski the other day. He's pissed about it. I promise you. There is a part of him that motivates him. So the truly great people, the great players, the great competitors, when something like that happens and they become upset about it, what that does is there's an old saying, turn your frustration into motivation. So let that frustration motivate you to work to make sure that doesn't happen again. So I warned that Tanner Scott had not always been an elite pitcher and that he knew how to handle that situation and that, hey, he's never been an elite command guy and that there's absolutely not anything to worry about. And he came out today and looked really good in his outing today. He threw to 3 hitters, and the 3 hitters he threw to be honest with you, it was good morning, good afternoon, and good night. And just kind of as a gig, I think Freddie Freeman, I've always thought that the Royals and Dodgers uniforms are identical, and I've always thought that the Yankees and White Sox, their uniforms are identical. So I'm wondering if when Freddie Freeman took the plate and looked out into the defenders and the pitcher, that when he saw the uniforms, I'm wondering if he thought he was playing the Yankees again, right? Ooh, that's tough right there. That's a tough gig right there. But hey, and then Will Smith. So Freddie Freeman goes 110 miles an hour, just kapow. Wow, way gone. And then Will Smith rattles the left center field boards with 107 miles an hour. And I'm thinking, man, the worst problem that I'm going to have as a Dodgers fan this year is like, when do I decide to go to the bathroom? I mean, like, Tyler Glasnow is throwing 97 mile an hour high riding four seams and curveballs that are just coming out of the sky and dropping into the dirt. I don't want to miss that. Shohei Ohtani is hitting line drives up the middle. I darn sure don't want to miss Shohei Ohtani. Freddie Freeman's hitting 110 mile an hour home runs, and Will Smith's hitting 107 mile an hour doubles. It's like, when do I go get my next Diet Coke, right? I mean, I've got to have some time to do something like that, but I don't want to miss anything because this team is so entertaining. And how cool was it? Brandon Neeck, who I mentioned in our last show, was the best pitcher in the minor leagues. That's not my quote. That is coming from somebody who knows a lot more about this than I do. Brandon Neeck, again, somebody else's quote, was the best pitcher in the minor leagues from July on. Period. End of discussion. Look at the different arm angles he creates, and because of those arm angles, he takes advantage of that by moving the ball. So crazy arm angles combined with the movement, that capital, I see that right there, makes it just impossible to barrel. You see a million of those hits right there. You see guys pulling off as you're seeing on that screen. See another pull off on, I mean, look at that angle. Let me go ahead and back that up. Let me put this on a quarter of a speed and just kind of show you the crazy angle this comes out of and how ridiculous this is for a lefty. All right, so the ball comes out. The ball came out right here, right? Okay, so let me circle right where the ball came out. I stopped it a little bit later. I'm not going to back up and go through that clunky process. So the ball stopped right here. Basically in between this guy's head and that guy's head is where the ball came out, right? Let's see where it ends. Let's see where it lands. Boom, right here, okay? So look how far that moved from right here to right there because he created such an angle and he gets such movement. Look how far that ball moved. I mean, that's like, I mean, seriously, that this guy's anything but from behind home. I mean, that's some crazy movement right there created by unbelievable arm angles. And that's just going to make it just ridiculous for lefties to hit. And then righties, too, they're just going to pull off of it and hit a lot of balls like that. So it was cool to see Brandon Neeck come in today. One pitch. he got to throw. I was getting ready to, I was typing up my Brandon Neeck this, Brandon. Wait, hold on. I didn't even have time to type anything up on him because he was out there and done so fast. But that was fun to get to see him his second action on the main field. And then another one that was super exciting for me to get to see on the main field. Let me throw him up on the board. This is Sean Lenen right here. Sean Lenen, welcome to the main field, my man. So Lenen was at the complex, and he got called up in June to Rancho Cucamonga. The Rancho Quakes were in Fresno at the time. Had a couple of really nice outings. They were kind of evaluating what they had. Fastball's 94 to 95, tops at 95. You saw 95-mile-an-hour fastball from him today. But the calling card is a changeup. Really plus changeup for Sean Lenen. Slider is very good too. So good arm, 95, but he's going to come and go as that changeup comes and goes with him. It's a plus changeup. And then another calling card of his is just the command. He really commands the ball around the plate, and he's able to use whatever stuff that he has, which is a top at 95-mile-an-hour fastball, plus changeup, and slider. You can see that right there. See how he commanded that? That's on the perimeter of the zone. I mean, that's a perimeter of the zone pitch right there. He is not throwing to the heart of the plate. He is throwing to another perimeter pitch, 2 perimeter pitches, both with off speeds. There's a changeup. That's the plus changeup. See how he licked his hand? He wasn't very excited about throwing that. And then the fastball at the top. So career 7% walk rate, and he went straight from the DSL to Rancho Cucamonga, and he's just 20 years old from Colombia. So it was sure a lot of fun to see Sean Lenen on the main field. And then another young man that I am super excited about, got drafted a couple of years ago and just has not been able to stay healthy. And that is one Mr. Joe Vetrano. Joe Vetrano played with Emmett Sheehan at Boston College. This is a guy that hits a lot of line drives. He's a big dude. So when you talk about massive exit velos, he's one of the ones at the top of the entire organization as far as being able to hit the ball really hard. But what you see right here, okay, got a little bit of lift there, but low line drive. So I think probably what the Dodgers would like is to see if they can get him to hit the ball in the air a little bit more because, I mean, he can hit 115, 116 mile-an-hour nukes, right? So that's great if it's a line drive to left center and it's a double. That's even greater if that's a word. If that ball is 10, 15 degrees higher and it hits the scoreboard instead of hitting the wall, right? So if Joe Vetrano can, I think, get the ball in the air a little bit more, he's a guy that could hit a ton of home runs because the exit velos are just insane with this guy. Him and Jake Geloff both just hit the ball so insanely hard. So it's super exciting to see Joe Vetrano healthy again. His only problem since he's become a Dodger has been trying to stay healthy. He's finally healthy, got him a hit on the main field. Mama Vetrano, as he would like to say. That's not me saying that. That's him. That's what he calls his mom. Mama Vetrano, I'm sure, was very excited today. And I guarantee you this, Joe Vetrano is one tough dude because his dad was NYPD. I mean, and if your dad is NYPD, that tells you everything you need to know. So that was the game with all the video. As far as the other game, the split squad, I didn't get to see any of the action. Justin Robleski, 3 innings, 9 hitters, 9 up, 9 down for Justin Robleski. So a really good day for him. Let me get back to my pitching so I can talk about the pitching first. We're going to talk about the pitching first in the split squad game as far as the game that did not have video against the A's. Robleski, 9 hitters, no runs, no hits, 2 strikeouts, and no walks. I mentioned his goal is to land the slider and the breaking pitches more so his fastball can be used as a weapon. Ben Kasparius had a scoreless outing, so very excited to see Ben have success. And my man, if you've watched any of Dodgers Dawgs during spring training, you know that I am so pumped to watch Sam Carlson. Sam Carlson finally he went 2 innings today. Finally gave up a run. I mean, this dude has been He's like, it just reminds me of Michael Kopech. Just, you watch him and you're going, wow, I don't want to hit off of that guy. Finally gave up a run in his 2-inning stint today. Tanner Keast had a rough day, giving up 3 runs in a third of an inning. And then my man Kelvin Ramirez came in. Kelvin Ramirez got to make his outing, his debut 2 days ago, I think it was. And he came in. He was the emergency pitcher again today. And when Tanner Keast gave up 3 runs in a third of an inning, Ramirez had to come in relief and did a good job. Got the last 2 outs. And then as far as the hitting goes, it was really nice to see James Outman get 2 hits, not see, but look at the box score and find out that James Outman had 2 hits today. That means that Outman now is 4 for his last 13. So that's a good thing. I believe 4 for 13 is well, that's pretty good. I can't do the math in my head right now, and I don't want to do it on a calculator or try to figure it out because it'll get clunky. But James Outman, hopefully that means that he's getting into a rhythm. I think he had 13 at-bats at one time, 9 strikeouts. Not going to dwell on the negative because there's so much upside with this guy. I mentioned in the show this morning, I think he's pressing. Hopefully those 2 hits right there, 4 out of his last 13, regardless of what happens with that last roster spot, which I still think David Bote is in the lead for that. So I think there's 4 guys fighting for that one last roster spot: Ha-Seong Kim, James Outman, Andy Pages, and David Bote. I think David Bote is at the top of that pecking list. I think James Outman is number 2. I think Andy Pages is number 3. And I think Ha-Seong Kim is number 4. That's how I would layer that as far as those 4 guys competing for that one spot. So good to see him get a hit. But David Bote again stole the show today. Smoking hot spring training. 2 hits, home run, 2 hits and 3 at-bats, knocked in 3 runs today. David Bote, have yourself a spring training, young man. Came over from the Cubs. Cubs fans will swear to God this is David Bote in spring training every year, and that as soon as they start playing regular games, he won't hit as well. I'm calling baloney on that. Again, I used the example of Michael Kopech the other day, and I'm sticking with that. So, I believe it's our show on Friday. Again, these shows start going together one after the other. We mentioned Michael Conforto. He had that beautiful swing when he ripped the boards in dead center. He's like, okay, there's the Michael Conforto the Dodgers front office has been waiting on, right? Looked like he was really comfortable in that swing. Well, how about getting another hit today, too? So it looks to me like, of course, I didn't see the game with my own eyes, but it just appears to me like Michael Conforto is starting to kind of find his groove. If you remember, like a couple years ago, JD Martinez had a horrendous spring training, and everybody was like, oh, this guy's a bust. This guy's not this guy's not that. And I kept saying, hey, he's never any good in spring training because he's just working on timing and this and that. And once they start playing for keeps, JD Martinez will have it all put together. That kind of looks like the track that Michael Conforto's on. He's just kind of putting one thing together with another thing and kind of stacking it on top of each other. And it just looks like he's progressing into form for when spring training is over, to be right on track to be on top of his game. Kyle Nevin, Alex Freeland. Let's get Kyle Nevin on the board. Alex Freeland had a hit today, so it was good to see there. I think if you watch Dodgers Dawgs, you know how high I am on him. And Kyle Nevin, this is one of my favorite young hitters in the organization. So I think as the scouting reports get better, so what happens is at the lower levels, either you don't have real complete scouting reports just because you don't have as much information on a guy because he's only been in pro ball for 1 year or whatever, and the mixes change. I mean, think about Ben Kasperius, how many times he's changed his pitch mix over the years, or at least tweaked it and refined it. I mean, you heard the Orlando Ortiz-Mayer conversation we had, the interview we had. He talked about how many times he's redefined himself. So what happens is a lot of times either the scouting reports at the lower levels are incomplete, or the pitcher isn't good enough actually to even execute the scouting report that you have. So swing decisions at the lower levels of the minor leagues sometimes are just kind of a guessing game because it's almost like you're back in high school. Like, okay, well, I'm going to look fastball. I'm going to adjust breaking ball. I'm going to try to lay off the ball above the hands. I'm going to try to read spin and let it break into the dirt. I mean, that's the approach, right? Because scouting reports sometimes aren't as accurate as can be. So I'm doing it again. I'm making a short story long, all to say, I think as scouting reports get more accurate for a guy like Kyle Nevin, who's very studious, dad is Phil Nevin, right? Who will be able to understand against every pitcher. He's going to be able to dive into a scouting report and go and say, okay, where are the tunnel locations that I need to identify? Where is the release point? What are the pitches that I need to swing at? Which ones aren't? And when that information becomes accurate, I think Kyle Nevin's going to be able to make quite a bit better swing decisions. And because of that, I think his bat to ball skills will become good. So if that happens and you match his ability to do that right there, gather a bunch of hits with his light tower power. Kyle Nevin hit some of the most impressive home runs last year of anybody in the system. Here's one right here. Boom. He has a lot of power, and when he tangles into one, it stays hit. I promise you that. He has one of my favorite swings. Look how flat that swing is coming through the zone. So I think it all comes down to accurate scouting reports and figuring out on a consistent basis which pitches to swing at. And when that happens, I think that the swing mechanics are in place to where he is going to be a very good hitter. So keep your eye out. I think Kyle Nevin is the most underrated hitting prospect. And look how beautiful that swing is the most underrated hitting prospect in all of the Dodgers minor league system. I think he has that much of an upside to his game. Another part of the split squad, it allows guys like this. Bubba Alleyne, who was drafted in 2022 after being the B1G, the Big 12 Player of the Year for the Maryland Terrapins. Had a really nice year, Bubba Alleyne did last year, playing left field, played a really great defensive left field switch hitter. He is a guy that when you meet him and you talk to him, you feel like you're best friends with him the first time you ever meet him, because he's always smiling. He's always in a good mood. He's just so pleasant to be around. So I have a couple of interviews with Bubba Alleyne. He's one of my favorite players to watch just because I just love the mentality. I love the attitude. And then also he has a lot of ability. I mean, this guy, you see the right-handed home run. You've seen him hit left-handed. So Bubba Alleyne, that's what split squad games do. It allows guys like Bubba Alleyne to get on the main field and get to play with all of the other guys. And then Justin Dean. Justin Dean has totally impressed. He had another hit today. He impressed in center field with how he went, how the jumps he got, the great jumps he got on balls, and then also just with his offensive performances and the way that he plays. So I think Justin Dean has been very, very good. So that's pretty much the action for today. Want to thank everybody for tuning in. Charlie Stokes, I have a question. Do you think the Dodgers are interested with Munetaki Murakami? Yes, no doubt about that. That's one that we'll keep monitoring. We actually have some content on him on the Dodgers Daily website, www.dodgersdaily.net. And didn't want to miss the excitement. Yeah, watching both games today. Ela Shiva says Robo was awesome. So that is the action for today. That is pretty much all I got for you. Again, we went bookend. We had a show this morning where we covered yesterday's action. We had a live show tonight where we covered the split squad game today. So if you have any other guys you wanted me to cover for the shows coming forward, leave a comment. Don't forget to leave a like on your way out. Or you can email me at dodgersdaily73@gmail.com, or just leave a comment on any of the social media platforms. So until next time, I'm Casey Porter for Dodgers Dogs of the Dodgers Daily Network. Thank you for tuning in. It's a great day to be a Dodger.